Hey there tech fans, Rick here again with another review, and today I have the DJI Mini 2 drone. This incredible flying robot packs a lot of the features that you normally only find in larger, more expensive drones into a much smaller and less expensive package. And in a lot of ways, it's the perfect drone, not only for new flyers that want to enter the hobby and spend time outside with family and friends, capturing beautiful video on vacation, but also more experienced flyers that may already own a drone or two and are looking for something smaller and more portable that they can take with them anywhere. So as part of this overview, I'd like to start by giving you the specifications of what the Mini 2 provides, and then I'll give you my top 5 reasons why I feel this may be the perfect drone pretty much for any flyer out there. Alright, so basic specifications. I care a lot about certain things whenever I'm considering a drone, and things like flight time, flight distance, connection topology, GPS locations, extra features are all important things when I'm comparing one drone against another. So I'll go through some of the basic specifications. So the drone, the Mini 2, will fly 31 minutes on a fully charged battery, which is pretty incredible when you compare it to other drones. Most other drones on the market, if you get 15 or 20 minutes out of them, that's a long flight time. So 31 minutes is pretty incredible. Now that's going to vary depending on how windy it is, how fast you're flying, and other conditions out there, the heat and things like that. But 31 minutes means, on average, I'm going to get about 25 minutes active flight time and still land it with 15% left in the battery. So that's pretty incredible. It'll fly an amazing 4,000 meters away, which is 2.5 miles, and that's because of the connection topology built in from DJI. It's a bit of a proprietary connection topology that keeps a lock on that rock-solid signal. So 2.5 miles is an incredible distance to fly a drone. Now, in the US, we have visual line of sight requirements, which means you can't really fly it further than you can see it. So about 2,000 feet is as far as I can see the drone because it's pretty small. But it's important to understand that that strong connection topology means that when you're flying in close, especially in crowded conditions around trees or noisy neighborhoods for Wi-Fi signals, you're not going to have a problem with connection. So it's a good feeling to know that I've got a strong connection, that no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to hang on to the drone from the controller. The next thing is the camera. It shoots 4K 30 frames a second video, which is probably the best resolution you're going to get out there right now on a smaller drone like this, and that's plenty good for you recording things, watching them on a widescreen TV, or even posting them to social media. So 4K 30 frames a second is astounding, and it also takes incredibly good pictures. Now the reason it can do that is because, again, unlike other drones on the market, it has a 3-axis stabilized gimbal up front, which means there's intelligence in the drone to keep track of how it's being buffeted around by the wind, and it's making a counter move for the camera on the front. So the gimbal's going to move in opposite directions of the way the drone's moving to keep you locked on your target. So no matter what's going on with the drone, if it's being bounced around by the wind, it's going to stay locked on the target and give you rock solid footage. It has a tremendous amount of safety features built in, which is something else I care an awful lot about. So for example, it's got an automated return to home. So if the drone is flying and you're not paying attention to things like battery or signal strength and you lose connection with the controller, it'll actually take over control of the flight, pick up and fly back to where it took off and land. So it's going to guarantee you're not going to lose the drone. You also have the ability to trigger return to home here. So if you're flying it and you get into a sketchy situation where you've lost sight of it, or you're down behind a tree and you're a little worried you're going to crash into something, you can hit the return to home key. It'll do the same thing where it'll fly up, fly back, and land where you took off. It has autonomous features as well, where you can hit a couple of buttons and have it circle you, have it fly away from you and keep you in the scene, have you moving around, it'll chase you. So it's got a lot of really cool features that the day you get it and charge up the battery, you can put it up in the air and you can look like a cinematographer by just hitting a button. It'll do some pretty amazing things. All right, so those are the basic specifications. Now, why do I love it so much? So I fly a lot of different drones. You can see a bunch of them up here on the shelf behind me. The reason I like this drone so much is what DJI has done has taken, I think, a big drone and kind of shrunk it down. So it's a small drone that flies like a big drone. And a lot of the technology they built into their more expensive enterprise drones and larger drones, they basically skinnied down to put in this tiny little airframe. So the first thing I love about it is its portability. It's tiny. When you fold this up, it can fit into your suitcase or your backpack. It takes up less space, honestly, than a pair of sneakers. So, I mean, it's a tiny drone. And that's important because even with the larger drones, you've got to think about bringing them along. So a smaller drone like this means that it's in my bag all the time. I never have to worry about having it with me. I just put it in my bag and I go out and fly. And the nice thing about that is I may come upon a place that I've never been before. I'll find a lake I've never seen before. I've got my Mini 2 with me. I can unfold it, power it up, make the connection, put it up, and capture that lake. With a bigger drone, you want to think about it a little bit. You're like, gee, should I bring the drone along? The batteries are big, they're heavy. I don't know if I really need to bring that with me. So I like the portability of it. The second thing that really intrigues me about the drone is its high-tech features. I'd mentioned already that it's got return to home capabilities in it. It's got a lot of intelligence where the battery's talking to the drone all the time to let it know, hey, I'm getting in trouble here. I've dropped the voltage low enough where I can't get back, or I've got some connection issues with the controller. That kind of safety technology built into it really means that it's a high-tech drone that you're not going to lose. A lot of the other drones out there have return to home, but it's not automated. It doesn't work as well because it's not based on GPS. It's based on compass positioning. This has a lock on GPS. It's got GPS and GLONASS built in, so it always knows where it is in the sky from a 3D perspective, and it knows where you're standing. So if you take off and you fly downfield, and again, for any reason, if you get panicked, hit that return to home key, the drone will say, okay, I'm coming back, and it'll actually elevate and come back and land where it took off. So high-tech features. The autonomous flight capabilities of this are pretty amazing as well. DJI has really done a great job maturing that technology over their last 3 or 4 generations of drones to the point where, again, in the application, which is the DJI Fly application, you can hit a few buttons, set a couple of parameters, and have this do cinematography-like shots where it's pulling away from you like a crane shot. It'll circle you while you're walking. You can look at the drone, or it'll circle you and give you a view of the background. There's a lot. You can shoot straight up in the air, so there's a lot of ways that you can use this drone, again, the day you buy it, to do really cool video effects in the drone. The next thing is it's incredibly safe to fly. Now, I'd mentioned already before about the return to home. It also has a feature where it's got a pause control on it. So if you're flying along and for whatever reason you're heading for something you don't want to run into, you can hit the pause button and the drone will actually pull back and stop. The other thing that's nice is that, unlike a lot of other drones, there's no drift in this drone. So when you're flying it, if you're getting into a situation where you're a little bit scared, take your thumbs off the joystick. The drone will stay exactly where you left it. It stops in midair and it won't move. A lot of the other less expensive drones that are small like this, even though they stop, they'll drift. And if they're drifting, they're heading towards that thing you didn't want to run into. So this one, it's going to stay where you left it. It also can handle really, really strong winds. A class 5 wind, which is, I think, about 30 miles an hour, 28 miles an hour. So I'm not saying go out and fly in a hurricane with it, but if you're flying this drone, and by the way, you can fly it up to 400 feet legally. If you go from ground level to 200 feet, the wind might be a little bit stronger up there. If you go up to 400 feet, it might be bursting like crazy. So you want to make sure you've got a drone that can handle that wind. It isn't going to sort of get carried away by a strong breeze. This drone can handle that. The next thing is the automated features. I can't stress this enough. A lot of the drones on the market, they fly really well, they take pretty good video and pictures, but it's all up to the pilot to learn how to circle an object like a lighthouse, or to do that perfect shot where it's flying away from you and your girlfriend or you and your family, to give you that broad perspective of the backfield. This has all that built in, so the autonomous features that are in there allow you to very quickly capture some incredibly cool video on vacation where you don't really have to be an experienced drone pilot like me that's been flying for 20 years. You can pick this up the first day you have it and fly it and get those kind of shots. So I like that an awful lot. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the amazing camera. A lot of the drones out there talk about 4K. They're not really 4K. They're 1080p, 60 frames a second, which is pretty good video, but a drone this small that can capture 4K 30 frames a second means you're getting some of the best video you can get from a drone in the sky. And that's one of the main reasons you're buying the drone. In addition to being fun to fly a drone, having a drone up in the air that I can take a picture of my house, or a picture of the beach, or my friends on the beach, or if I want to do a wedding and take some pictures of somebody getting married, having a 4K camera on there that'll record 4K video at 30 frames a second means you're going to get some incredibly good footage on the drone. And all those things being equal, at the price point that DJI is selling this drone, I think it's a fantastic value. So if you've been waiting to get into the hobby, I always say, don't wait. The summer's here, everybody's out flying. If you've been thinking about flying a drone, this could be the perfect drone for you. So give it a look. I think it's, for me, it's one of the best drones I fly. And I fly, again, a lot of different drones. I've got a whole shop out there full of drones. But this one is in my bag pretty much every time I leave the house because it's just so portable. It's so easy to use. It sets up in a couple of seconds. It's got a ton of safety features built in, which means I'm not going to have issues with it or lose my drone. And I just love the footage that it captures. So anyway, I hope you found this clip helpful. I love doing these kind of reviews. I've got a lot more coming. So if you're interested in this kind of technology, stay tuned and we'll have a couple more clips coming up. Anyway, until next time, stay nerdy.